Hey, Greenlight crew. It is Chris, your creative career coach here. Thanks for joining me back here at the Greenlight Ecosystem podcast. Today, I want to talk about a very exciting day. We're going to be having our first Greenlight Ecosystem strategy briefing today. So, later this afternoon, we're going to all hop in a meeting and talk a little bit about the state of the industry and what we can all do to lift ourselves up in this moment of a downturn in the creative space and figure out how to executive produce our own lives and careers and take everything just a little bit more seriously while also enjoying the process, which I think is so key. Finding that balance to giving ourselves the best shot at our own version of success, whatever that looks like for us as individuals. So, I want to tell you a little bit about why I feel like this is the moment for this big shift in how we approach our lives and careers. And I'll start with myself. I've been in the business for almost 20 years now, and there's just so much to learn over the course of a career like this. And I feel as though I'm still a student, and I feel like that's an important perspective to have. I try to consider myself a student for life. That's both in film and just in life as a human being. I feel like there's always more to learn, and there's no shame in expressing the idea that you don't know everything. It's impossible to know everything, no matter how much experience we have, how many things we've done, how many accomplishments we can claim. There's always more growth. And that's how I try to give myself the kind of grace that comes with the humility of knowing and understanding that you cannot know everything and that the finish line is always moving further down the course. And, that can't be the objective. At least for me, it's really, truly about the journey every day and finding peace and comfort in the fact that every moment is truly important and valuable and just being present. And I think that has become the basis for me to establish the four pillars that I think are critical to what the Greenlight ecosystem is all about. It starts with you deciding and defining your vision, yourself, and figuring out how that can be the most honest and genuine and authentic version of you that is going to lead to sustainability and growth all the time, whether that's personal growth or professional growth. And then the budget aspect is obviously critical as well because you have to be able to sustain a life financially in order to give yourself the creative freedom to continue to grow your vision and elucidate that first pillar. And then there's the crew aspect, which is defining the people around you and the resources that are going to help you find that successful pathway for yourself. Who are the folks in your life, whether it's your family, your friends, or the people that you work with, that understand the vision, and can help you develop it in such a way that it is, again, sustainable, but also fully formed and gratifying. Who are the people that are helping you push yourself forward instead of holding you down or pulling you backwards? And the people that you want to help as well, the people who you can share the experience of growth with, your tribe, your community, and your audience also, which leads us to the next pillar, which is distribution. How to reach out to that audience, how to make your name, your brand, your vision connect with people. What is the right pathway for you to get that information, that vision out there into the world in a way that people can relate to and want to be a part of? So, the Greenlight ecosystem and the way that I try to apply it to my life is what we're going to be talking about in today's strategy briefing. And I'm very much looking forward to having other folks communicate how they apply some of these ideas to their own lives and careers. This is not going to be a situation where I'm just talking at folks for 45 minutes. My goal is to really make it a dialogue and have an opportunity for these briefings to be about sharing our experiences, sharing our knowledge, sharing resources, sharing the wins, the losses, and just a place where we can vent, even to give each other a sense of connectedness, to show each other that we're not alone in our struggles, in the victories. It's about building community, because I think without that, it's it can get very bleak, both on the personal level of feeling like you're the only one who may be struggling at any given moment, and on a professional level of not feeling like you have what you need in order to sustain yourself and to continue to improve your skill sets, your community, and to just get better every day and to feel better every day. So I hope that this will start to be a consistent way for us to connect to one another, a safe place for us to just gather and talk, and to learn from each other and to build each other up a little bit, and figure out how we can move forward building our own industry as creatives together without relying on gatekeepers to tell us when and where and how we get to create. Obviously, it's always easier said than done, right? Especially the financial piece, of course. That's the thing that so many of us have to focus on because it is just in the reality of our everyday lives. Is how are we going to keep a roof over our heads, food on the table, clothes on our back, right? We have to be able to make money, and the economics are very real and undeniable, and that's okay. So again, it's all about figuring out what is going to be the best pathway for you in order to, even if it takes time, develop a real, legitimate, actionable strategy that's going to help you figure out that financial piece. And it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's all about growth. That growth may be slow at first, but financial growth is something that when you figure it out for yourself, it can hit a point where you reach a tipping point where that growth can start to take on a life of its own and your money starts to work for you instead of you having to work for the money. That's the goal there. That's why we focus on assets versus liabilities. If you've read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, it talks all about that. Highly recommend it, of course. And that's one of those aspects that I think a lot of folks, especially in the creative arts, just never got the opportunity to learn, is that financial literacy piece. I don't claim to be an expert. I'm not a financial advisor, but I spent a lot of time researching and looking into for myself how best to amplify my own approach to gradually building wealth so that it just gives me the comfort and freedom to not have the anxiety and stress of how to pay bills. That's something, again, that takes time and energy and effort, and help and guidance to get through, but it is possible. We have to start from a place of knowing that it's possible and believing it, and just taking steps, practical steps every day. As much money as you can squirrel away, $5, skipping out on a cup of coffee and putting that money in an account that is going to grow for you over time. These are small steps that really do take root over time. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We can all compare notes about how we each do that in our own ways. The small lessons and the big lessons. Maybe that helped us reach a certain level of financial security. And then talking about how building community looks for each of us. What are the steps that we each take in order to reach out to folks that can either help us or whom we can help, and the people that we want to be around? What are some of those game plans that we utilize to get our voices heard in the marketplace? How do we create a consistent strategy to tell people what we're up to, which platforms are the ones that people find to be the most successful for them, and how can we work on these things together to build a community that builds us up together. That's the kind of thing that I hope that these briefings will achieve. What I hope to achieve with the career coaching aspect of what I do, with the career accelerator and booster that I offer. And I just really want people to feel less alone and to feel more supported. I wish I felt more like that when I was at the beginning stages of my career, but we start where we are right now. And I think one of the most important steps that we can take is identifying that today can be the start of a whole new way forward. And it doesn't have to look the same for each of us. And that's what the sharing is all about, is figuring out what works best for you versus someone else, and how we can draw from one another's experience and knowledge to add to our own quiver of tools and weapons to help us make it through each day, to make it through the downturns, to prepare ourselves for the upticks when things get more fruitful, when there's more production, when there are more creative opportunities, when people are looking for new talent more, when there's just more flowing of creative energy and money in order to give all of us that little lift that we are always looking for to be able to create a living as artists, as creative people. And today is going to be a big day. I think I know there's a pretty solid group of folks, some that I know, some that I don't, that are planning on joining us today. I hope you'll join as well if you haven't already. You can RSVP at my website at chrisanthonyhamilton.com/events. And I hope to see you there. We're really looking forward to building up this positive, flowing creative energy, and yeah, having everybody feel a little bit lighter and feel a little bit more prepared for tomorrow. And preparation, meeting opportunity, as we know, is the key to having a really successful life and career. And it starts today. So let's get it done. I look forward to seeing everybody at today's strategy briefing. And I'll see you next time right here on the podcast. Let's get to work.